All right, so I'm idling, trying to find some structure. You can see there's a good little drop off right here where I stopped. I stopped in about 4 foot of water, and then I idled out and it drops down to about 8 foot. There's a little bit of structure there. I see some rock piles sticking up. Looks like some trees right here. And I'm just idling some new water, trying to find something fish would relate to. You can see there's a lot of nothing going on out here, but we got some stuff on the bottom over here. So there's a good edge over here on the left side of the boat, and then it just goes to nothing. Here's some, looks like some scattered rock, maybe something on the bottom right there coming up. And see this transition edge here? This is where, look, and you can see up here it starts to creep back up. So here's a good spot I'm gonna want to turn around and fish. You can kind of see it drops off. There's like a rock spine that goes through here. There's a log lay down. Look at this hump here. That's something I'm gonna want. But that's a nice drop off there. There's structure. There's a big rock spine. It kind of drops off into a little bit deeper water here. You can see there's another hump right here. A bunch of laydowns, a bunch of trees. It looks like logs. And you're gonna wanna mark your point. That way, when I'm done scanning with my side imaging, I know I can set up on this waypoint, and I know that this is gonna be the point of that structure. You got these two humps here. Drops off into about 10 foot of water. This is gonna be a good spot to start right here. And then you can kind of see as we get away from it, there's really not too much else going on. I mean, there's some lay down, maybe like a tree or something out here, but there's really not too much going on compared to what we've seen back here. So let's turn around there and see if we can catch some fish. All right, so as you can see right here, I made one pass. I idled through and I marked some wood. There was some wood, some big, looked like laydowns, old trees or something. There was rock, there was a hump, some grass, but I just made one pass through with my electronics using my side imaging and my down imaging to find some structure. You can see I've never fished this area before. I kind of went to the point, there's a little rock point that I marked. I kind of went to there where it drops off into deeper water. So right now I got my power pole move on spot lock, and I'm gonna start away from that point and then work my way down the waypoints and the structure that I marked. And it's a little snaggy. You know it's a good spot when you're breaking off on the first cast. Largemouth. So like I was saying, once you go through and you find the structure, you want to take in consideration the wind current and the conditions, and set your boat up so that way you can fish it properly. So I idled down this little stretch, marked all my structure, and where the structure ended, it was just a barren bottom, nothing. That last waypoint, I turned the boat around, I faced it into the wind, and then I'm gonna start fishing that first waypoint. And if you see, I just caught a fish, just a little dink, nothing crazy, but there might be some fish there. Uh-oh, back-to-back cast. I didn't even crank on it and he hit it. It's a little bit better one. That's a little bit better largemouth. So as you can see, it looks like it's a little bit better, nothing too special. So what I'm throwing at, here, I'll see if I can take my camera off. I'll show you guys what I'm throwing at. So basically, the structure, rock, there's some wood, it dies off right here and drops off into deeper water. We're sitting in 8 foot. It's like 4-5 foot up on top here, as you can see. So there's a rock, it drops off. There's what it looks like on the 360. There's a little rock point, and it just kind of, as you can see, there's nothing else out here. So those fish, what I just caught back-to-back casts, I broke off on my first cast. My second cast I caught a fish. My third cast I caught a fish. And they're sitting up on top of this structure. There's a log there, you can see. A little bit better. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's about a 3-pounder. It's got some cool spots all over him. He's loaded with spots. It's a good one. I'm just throwing a chatterbait. I like throwing a chatterbait just to search and try to find them. You could throw a swim bait. There's a lot of baits you could throw. Like I started throwing out something on the bottom, and I broke off that first cast, and then I thought maybe it's a little too much. This might be a little bit too rocky, a little too snaggy to throw something on the bottom, so I started throwing this chatterbait. solid one. Oops. Sorry about that, buddy. But as you see, I don't know if you can tell from behind me, but we're a ways offshore, and this is just kind of, there's a lot of barren, no structure, no nothing in this area, and then there's a little bit of rock, there's a little bit of wood, and there's just some structure. So if you use your electronics, I mean, I don't know, what's that, 4 fish or so? I've been here for 4, 5, 8 minutes, whatever it's been, and my first spot where I was marking the structure, I ended up, there's a little wad of them right here. All right, but like as I said, if you take the time, I don't know if you guys can see behind me, I mean, I'm a ways offshore. I'm kind of out here in the middle of nowhere, and if you look on the map, there's really no contours, there's no obvious point, there's no nothing like that. But if you take the time and idle, you have your electronics set up right, it's pretty easy to find fish, and you don't have to sit on spots all day. You know, like if I started catching, I got lucky, you could say, started catching them right off the bat, right off this first waypoint. But if I spent 10 minutes here and I never got a bite, and I could see the fish on my forward-facing sonar, and I knew there was fish around, they could be anything, you know, they're not necessarily always bass, but if I wasn't getting bit, then I would move on to the next waypoint and so on, and then just cover water that way. And it can be effective, and it can be easy to find fish. I mean, you can find a lot of new spots doing this, and it's a pretty effective way to find fish. There's just a wad of them up there. He's not even that big, but he train wrecked it. I mean, 15-inch fish. He hit it like 5 pounds. There's one. The other thing I'm doing too is it's a little bit shallower where I'm throwing this chatterbait up there on that drop. But what I'm doing is I'm counting it down. I know the fish are hanging close to the bottom. The water's a little bit muddy right now, so I'm counting it down to about a foot off the bottom, and then I'm just slow winding it. But as you've seen on a couple of them, I mean, when I was counting it down, they were hitting it even. They're up there and they are fired up. Like there's some white bass up there too. That's a good smallie. Check that guy out. I'm about to get a weight on this guy. A little bonus smallie up here. this hook good. He was not coming off. About to get the pliers. One thing I'm doing too, it's still early in the year, I'm throwing a slow gear ratio reel. This is a 6:4:1. I like throwing slow gear ratio reels with a chatterbait at times. When you want to keep it down in the water column. When you want to keep it up in the water column, something hit it on the drop. Got him. They are fired up. I couldn't even finish my sentence. That's a little chunky one. That's a little better one right there. Little chunky guy. But what I was saying is, when I want to keep my bait, when I'm fishing a moving bait, chatterbait, swim bait, whatever the case, and I want to keep it down in the water column, I always opt for a slower gear ratio reel. In the summer months, if I'm trying to burn a chatterbait or a swim bait like over grass or something like that, I'm gonna go to like a 7:1 or 7:5:1 gear ratio reel. I'm just using a Kitech swim bait for a trailer. I like using swim baits for trailers as opposed to like a craw bait early in the year. Hooked right in the top of the mouth, just how you want them. He's got some cool spots on him on the tail. The other key thing I think for catching them on this chatterbait is this rod. I'm using a crankbait rod with a moderate action to it, and I think, as you notice, I haven't lost any fish so far, and I think that's a big key too when I'm fishing a chatterbait. I'm gonna lose a fish right now just because I said that. Ooh, something bumped it. I'm not casting to individual fish with my forward-facing sonar. I know a lot of guys think forward-facing sonar and they think you just use it to find fish, but more often than not, I use my forward-facing sonar just to tell me where the structure is, and then I just cast to it without trying to look for fish or trying to see fish on my actual sonar. I use it just to get me in position, and I know where the structure is, and I can fish it from different angles. We're catching everything today. I'll take a good walleye dinner. I'll take a good walleye. Putting that one in the live well. big smallie. I was just getting ready to move. That's a goodie. I was just getting ready to move. Big old smallmouth smacked it. So I'm back in the truck, ran into a few rainstorms out there. But overall, had a good day. Even brought home a walleye for dinner, so that's always a plus. But found some new spots, caught a lot of decent fish, and it was just overall a good day. So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you on the next one.